Nos encontramos en la colonia San Francisco, aquí en Matamoros. Los hechos ocurrieron el día de hoy, 2 de febrero, cuando un hombre que se encontraba dentro de su camioneta GMC Sierra color negro, donde recibió al menos 5 impactos de arma de fuego, lo que provocó la muerte de inmediato.
On February 6, 2026, Fernando Covarrubias Trevino, a 51-year-old criminal defense lawyer working for one of Mexico's most powerful cartel leaders, was brutally executed behind the wheel of his vehicle right outside his home. Covarrubias represented Alfredo Cárdenas Martínez, known as El Contador, a key figure in the Gulf Cartel.
Yo escuché como unos 7 balazos. Vi cruzar a la señora, la mamá del licenciado, salió corriendo, gritando, ¿qué le pasa a mi hijo? Ya me acerqué y pues ya.
The hit was reportedly carried out by a Sicario who was paid approximately $7,000. The execution has been linked to El Botox's network, a Michoacan-based extortionist who was arrested just weeks earlier. Now, whispers of brutal retaliation are spreading across the border region as the Gulf Cartel prepares for war.
¡Míralos! ¡Los maté a la verga! ¡Mire! ¡Ay, güey! ¡Se murieron a la verga todos!
Y persecuciones. Afortunadamente no hubo muertos ni heridos.
So the question everyone's asking is this: did El Botox's network order this hit from behind bars to weaken the Gulf Cartel? Or is this the beginning of a new turf war that will engulf the entire region? Alfredo Cárdenas Martínez, El Contador, took control of a major Gulf Cartel faction in 2015 after the arrest of Jorge Eduardo Costilla Sánchez, known as El Cos.
En esta se muestra la estructura de altos mandos del cártel del Golfo en Matamoros. Entre los cabecillas se encuentra José Alfredo Cárdenas, alias El Contador, uno de los presuntos líderes regionales del cártel, quien fue capturado por tercera ocasión en febrero de 2022.
El Contador is the nephew of Osiel Cárdenas Guillén, the legendary Gulf Cartel boss who recruited 31 former Mexican Special Forces soldiers to act as security enforcers, creating what would later become Los Zetas. Under El Contador's leadership, the Gulf Cartel controlled key smuggling routes across the U.S.-Mexico border, moving massive quantities of cocaine and into Texas and beyond.
When you go into Matamoros, every crossing, most of the major streets have checkpoints on them. The group that runs Matamoros, they're called the Scorpion Group. They're a faction of the Gulf Cartel, and the Scorpions were out of Matamoros. They protected the leadership of the Gulf Cartel back in the day.
The Gulf Cartel, we have these families that are really entrenched in the community. They really are related to many, many people in the community, and that gives them kind of a wide support base. And so it's also hard to really kind of root them out. And they've been involved in this smuggling, really for decades and decades.
El Contador has been arrested multiple times, first in 2018, then again in 2019. Both times, judges freed him. Then, in 2022, the Marines arrested him for what seemed like the final time, and the U.S. immediately requested his extradition. In November 2021, a federal grand jury in Brownsville returned a 9-count indictment against him. If convicted, he faces up to life in prison and a possible $10 million fine. But despite being locked up and facing extradition, El Contador was released from prison in November 2024 after a judge ruled that prosecutors didn't properly justify his detention.
Que a José Alfredo Cárdenas Martínez, a quien apodan El Contador, sobrino de Osiel Cárdenas Guillén, lo liberan de la cárcel el día de hoy. Un juez de nombre Gregorio Salazar Hernández le revocó la prisión preventiva y ordenó la liberación de José Alfredo Cárdenas Martínez.
So when his personal lawyer was executed just months later, it wasn't just an attack on his legal team, it was an attack on El Contador himself. Covarrubias had been handling the complex legal battles that kept Gulf Cartel members out of U.S. custody for years. But while he carried out these duties, internal rivalries were brewing within the Cárdenas clan, and external rivals were hitting hard at El Contador's reign. Days before Covarrubias' death, footage of an explosive attack between rival Gulf Cartel factions was captured, revealing more about what led to his assassination.
¡Míralos! ¡Los maté a la verga! ¡Mire!
Explotó.
¡Ay! ¡Ey, güey! ¡Se murieron a la verga todos! ¡Ay, claro que sí lo grabé! Mira, se murieron todos los del grande a la verga, pa.
And because Covarrubias knew too much and was so close to El Contador, someone decided he needed to be eliminated, sending a clear message and a direct slap to the Gulf cartel leader.
Sí, luego ya pues salí porque vi cruzar a la señora, la mamá del licenciado, salió corriendo, gritando, ¿qué le pasa a mi hijo?
It was noon when his GMC Sierra, fresh from the dealership, stopped in the middle of Laguna del Culebron Street between 20th and 21st, just as he was arriving at his parents' residence. Upon realizing the presence of the attackers, Covarrubias Trevino tried to maneuver to safety, but it was too late. He was hit several times, the shots instantly preventing any possibility of escape, leaving his body lifeless in the driver's seat.
¿Cuál era el nombre de la víctima?
Fernando Cobar.
¿Cuántos años tenía?
51.
¿Y él a qué se dedicaba?
Es abogado, era abogado. Pero pues aquí estaba, digo, siempre venía el muchacho, todos los días venía con la mamá, desayunaba y se iba, y de repente, pero así, en segundos se fue todo.
¿Usted estaba aquí al momento en que eso pasó? ¿Solamente escuchó?
Estábamos adentro. No se escucha, está muy allá la casa, nomás oímos eso.
Neighbors in the downtown area, who were shocked by the attack's intensity, immediately called emergency services. State Guard and paramedics arrived, but it was too late. The lawyer's injuries were fatal, and there was no vital sign of life in him. The scene was marked by multiple gunshot impacts on the body of the vehicle, showing this was a professionally planned attack carried out by experts. But who would be bold enough to order a hit on El Contador's lawyer? Was it the rival war within the Cardenas clan that led to this? Or was it another cartel going to the extreme? After Covarrubias Trevino's murder, an investigation was launched. Authorities discovered that the execution was carried out by a Sicario, and when traced, it was linked to El Botox's network. Cesar Alejandro Sepulveda Arellano, known as El Botox, is a Michoacan-based extortionist and leader of the White Trojans, or Blancos de Troya. His group works with Los Viagras, a criminal organization allied with CJNG. By late 2024, El Botox had expanded northward, pushing into Gulf cartel territories, which led to rising tensions between the gangs. In October 2025, El Botox orchestrated the murder of Bernardo Bravo, president of the Apatzingan Valley Citrus Producers Association. Bravo had been outspoken against organized crime and cartel extortion in Michoacan's lime and avocado industry. El Botox's group had been extorting lime growers for years, controlling the entire supply chain. When Bravo refused to comply and spoke out publicly, El Botox had him killed. His body was found in his vehicle, a clear message to anyone else who dared resist.
Pasamos a temas de seguridad porque en Michoacán esta mañana fue encontrado sin vida Bernardo Bravo, presidente de la Asociación de Citricultores ahí de Apatzingán. Vamos directamente hacia...
El Botox was also responsible for attacking law enforcement with explosives and orchestrating multiple homicides. By the time Mexican authorities arrested him, in late January 2026, there were 11 arrest warrants for extortion and homicide.
Mexican authorities arrested Cesar Sepulveda Arellano, alias El Botox, in Buenavista, Michoacán, on charges including extortion and homicide.
Investigators believe El Botox's network ordered the hit on Fernando Covarrubias Trevino to weaken El Contador's influence. By targeting El Contador's lawyer, they sent a message: "We can reach anyone close to you, anytime." And that message was received loud and clear. Following Covarrubias' assassination, El Contador's faction responded with public vows of revenge. Cartel insiders say his group has been compiling hit lists targeting anyone associated with El Botox's network. In the weeks after the assassination, numerous gunshots have been heard in the streets of Tamaulipas.
Se vivió una madrugada violenta, se registraron bloqueos, balaceras y persecuciones. Afortunadamente no hubo muertos ni heridos.
The Gulf Cartel has been mobilizing armed convoys across Tamaulipas, preparing for violent retaliation. Civilians have reported seeing heavily armed gunmen in pickup trucks equipped with mounted machine guns and grenade launchers. It's the same pattern that's plagued Mexico for decades. When one faction feels challenged, they respond with overwhelming force, and the innocent people pay the price. Meanwhile, U.S. indictments against El Contador continue to intensify pressure. The Justice Department had been building a massive case since 2021, alleging he coordinated narcotics shipments to the United States from 2015 through 2021. The execution of Fernando Covarrubias Trevino in front of his family home has left his mother devastated, and more terrifying, it was just the opening move in what could become a prolonged conflict between the Gulf Cartel and El Botox's allied factions. As long as corrupt officials continue enabling these criminal networks, the violence will never stop. But what do you think? Will El Contador's Gulf Cartel succeed in crushing El Botox's network, or will this escalate into an all-out war that spreads across multiple states? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth videos like this. Meanwhile, click on any of the cards on your screen right now to watch more of our videos.